Without further ado, I invite our morning session keynote speaker, Dr. Alasdair Allan MSP, the Minister for Climate Action for the Scottish Government, to deliver his address.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for the invitation to speak here today. I'd like to start by thanking the NetZero Club for the work that's gone into making this event possible. I want to clarify too that I also walked here today, although perhaps not all the way from my house, which is in the Isle of Lewis, which raises all sorts of other questions about decarbonising transport. As you'll be hearing from the Cabinet Secretary for Transport later today, the Scottish Government's focus will be on decarbonisation of the built environment and local area planning to support this. I don't intend to take up the invitation to speak for as long as I like. It would certainly be a novelty to me in the Scottish Parliament over the road. They simply switch off your microphone after the allotted time, so I won't abuse that, hopefully. But I want to say a little about heating our homes, workplaces and other buildings, because as you know, that causes 20% of our carbon emissions, and it is the third largest cause of greenhouse gas emissions in Scotland. With over 80% of households using fossil fuel heating, we are almost unique within Europe on our reliance as a country on fossil fuels for that purpose. And with this in mind, it is difficult to understate or to overstate how significant an impact decarbonising our buildings will have. But moving to clean heat and improving the energy efficiency of our buildings is vital to achieving net zero and to improving our comfort as a country. And I'm pleased to outline today some of the steps that will be taken by the Scottish Government to enable a just transition towards heat decarbonisation. Now, with the scale of the challenge I've alluded to comes the need for a planned and coordinated response. Over the last few years, we've worked with the 32 local authorities across Scotland to support the development of individual local heat and energy efficiency strategies. Excuse me. These provide a strategic plan for local authorities that will support the scaling up of action to improve energy efficiency, to decarbonise heat and tackle fuel poverty. They are at the heart of a place-based, locally led approach to the heat transition. Now, in practice, LHEES sets out principal measures for reducing building emissions within each zone, and they identify the primary clean heating solution in a given area and can be used to target government funding and private investment. In particular, they are showcasing the significant opportunities for the development of heat networks across Scotland. Now, as you might expect, given the need for high heat density, there are large-scale opportunities in all Scottish cities, with Glasgow and Edinburgh, for example, identifying potential for heat networks to serve up to 4.4 and 3.7 terawatt hours of heat demand per year, respectively. But opportunities have been found in every part of Scotland, from the Scottish borders all the way to Shetland, and we expect heat networks to play a major role in decarbonising our buildings in both urban and many rural areas. An evaluation of the development of these strategies is being completed and will consider the lessons learnt by local authorities and key stakeholders to inform the next iteration, which is due in 2028. And we're engaging with the recently established National Energy Systems Operator to ensure that work done by local authorities as part of their LHEES will inform future energy network planning. Now that the opportunities have been identified, we are able to support the delivery of projects. Now, this transition, as you appreciate, cannot be funded by the public purse alone. Successfully decarbonising heat is a collaborative effort involving government, individuals and businesses, requiring both public and private finance. The generous package of government support will continue to help people meet the costs of the transition, especially those at risk of fuel poverty. However, the journey ahead of us is long and will require significant levels of investment. So I welcome the work of the Green Heat Finance Task Force and their Part 2 report, which was published earlier this month. The task force was established to identify innovative financing solutions to support Scotland's transition to net zero by 2045. Now, while the Part 1 report focused on solutions geared towards individuals such as equity release and green mortgages, the Part 2 report focuses on place-based solutions, development of heat networks, and financing social housing retrofit. All of that will play a key role in decarbonising our cities, regions, and built environment. We will consider the findings of both reports and issue our response in due course. But in the meantime, one area in which we can clearly invest and attract private investment is the development of heat networks. Launched in 2022, the Heat Network Support Unit provides funding and advisory support for low-carbon heat network projects in the pre-capital stages of development. The unit is developing projects to build capacity within the public and wider sectors to lead on, invest in and deliver heat networks. So far, we've provided over £1 million to 39 projects in Scotland, resulting in a significant pipeline of heat network opportunities. The unit is supporting organisations, primarily local authorities, to bring new heat network opportunities to market. This is achieved by funding development, providing advice at key project stages, and by empowering organisations to engage with private investors as informed clients. In parallel, where investable projects are identified, Scotland's Heat Network Fund makes capital grant funding available to public and private sector organisations to support the rollout of zero-emission heat networks across the country. Now, to date, the fund has awarded approximately £10.1 million to 4 heat network projects in Scotland. This builds on our early commitment of approximately £53 million through our low-carbon infrastructure transition programme to 14 heat network projects which produce low-carbon heat from various sources such as water source heat pumps, biofuels, and recovered heat from wastewater treatment. So, looking ahead, I recently announced our intention to introduce a Heat and Buildings Bill in Year 5 of this Parliament. The bill will create a target for decarbonising heating systems by 2045 and send a strong signal to homeowners, landlords and other building owners on the need to prepare for change. In doing so, we are stressing a collective response over individual liability, and that's why the bill will include provisions to boost heat network developments by requiring large non-domestic premises, including public sector buildings, to connect to district heating when that is available. We believe this will make many more heat network projects investable, in turn providing greater choice to households, social landlords, public bodies and businesses about how they can remove emissions from their buildings. For many, the crucial first step will be improving the fabric performance of their building so that they need to use less heat. Not only will that, of course, reduce emissions, it will create more comfortable places that cost less to heat. So the bill will also include powers to set minimum energy efficiency standards for owner-occupier and non-domestic properties, while we progress regulations under existing powers, that is out with the bill, to introduce a minimum energy efficiency standard in the private rented sector. That would mean all privately rented properties, as far as possible, reaching the equivalent of EPC-C. Now, in my statement to Parliament earlier this month, I had to recognise that despite all of the efforts of the Scottish Government and its public and private partners, many of the enablers of a transition to clean heating that addresses fuel poverty in tandem are reserved matters, powers reserved to the UK Government. And I had to be frank about that. We continue to believe that the UK Government must use those reserved powers to rebalance gas and electricity prices and to reform the electricity market to significantly reduce the running costs of clean heating systems like heat pumps. I would ask that you continue to use your forums and networks to call for this change too, so that we can accelerate the transformation in our homes and other buildings without undue cost. The Scottish Government cannot achieve net zero alone. There is a strong need for collaboration, innovation, quality data, and indeed investment. The diversity of our building stock means that there is a need for a flexible approach that takes into account varying needs and circumstances. The vision is ambitious. Decarbonising Scotland will be a significant effort, and collaboration between Scotland's government and professionals like the ones in this room today with ideas and products that can support the transition will be a key tool in meeting that enormous challenge. So thank you for your time this morning. I hope you have a productive day today, meeting with other ministers and indeed exchanging ideas. What you're doing is important. The Scottish Government recognises it. We want to be part of it, and thank you for your time today.